Welcome to What's the Deal with Sam? Starring Sam Lilly. Join Sam as he discusses a wide variety of topics.
Fan mail.
Now let's start the show.
Thank you. What's the deal with Iron Maiden? It's like Iron Maiden with the ground. So this is kind of a thing I talked about, I think, a bit before. I don't know when. I thought I did. Maybe I didn't, but I thought I did. It's just, I'll give you a quick rundown here, is that there's a whole thing with 3D Realms, which is basically bought up by these people now, since the old people from 3D Realms, I don't think, gave a shit anymore, and were kind of not wanting to do anything with their stuff anymore, and so these new people bought it out, so it's kind of almost like an indie company that just wanted the label and the rights to whatever IPs were still kicking around there. And then there was the whole thing where they essentially wanted to make Duke Nukem games, was the whole reason they bought the rights, essentially, and then they found out that, oh, you can only make, basically re-release the old Duke Nukem games, and all the rights for newer ones, from Duke Nukem Forever and whatever else would come after that was actually owned by Gearbox, because they bought up the rights for that to make that one and the rights to continue making Duke Nukem content. And they're like, oh shit, that sucks. And they were kind of like, okay, well, they were like, hey Gearbox, can we make a Duke Nukem game? And Gearbox was like, no, you can't do that. And they're like, oh, that sucks. And so then they started making a Duke Nukem game anyways. And Gearbox found out about it and was like, okay, well, we're gonna sue, and they won, and so then it's like, now 3D Realms doesn't own any Duke Nukem stuff, so all that stuff had to be pulled, and now Gearbox owns all of Duke Nukem. And the game they were making, they had to just replace with the sidekick character they were making there, and that's where we got Bombshell, which came out to middling reviews, and then there's that whole project where they wanted to make another Duke Nukem game in like the build engine, like Duke Nukem 3D was in. And again, obviously they couldn't do that because you can't use Duke Nukem anymore, so they also just used that character from Bombshell as the character in that. And they called it Iron Maiden. And that name, sounds very clearly a lot like Iron Maiden. And I'm not talking about the torture device, I'm talking more about the band, is probably what you think of. The band Iron Maiden. And apparently Iron Maiden actually, I don't know if it was like the people in the band actually did this, or it's just more lawyers, or how it's gone down. I haven't seen all the details of how this is playing out, but basically the thing is, Iron Maiden was like, okay, well, you're just using this name, and this is like months later too, this isn't like when it was the news hit or anything, this was like months after, we've had Iron Maiden out and in early access anyways, and like as a thing people can buy with money, and now like months later, all of a sudden, I guess maybe they just heard about it now or something, I don't know, it's not like it's a huge thing, but all of a sudden it's like, yeah, we're gonna sue, and basically it's like they did, and now in order to kind of avoid the problems there, I don't know if they're still going to lose money on this or what, or if this is a way to actually avoid getting sued, they've changed the name so it doesn't sound as much like Iron Maiden anymore. They've now changed the name to Ion Fury, which is, I guess, different. It's not close enough to Iron Maiden for them to do anything about it now, and hopefully no one else has a name of something similar to that that's more, popular than this itself. But it's kind of left me with some mixed feelings on this, just because it's like, you would think that something like this would almost be seen as like a cool, like, oh, like that's a little, that's a nod because they're into, they're into Iron Maiden, that's cool, and you would think that Iron Maiden would be like flattered, like, oh, cool, like these people are making this cool game, and like they're into us, and they did that. That's a neat nod. I guess I didn't ask for permission to do that, because, it's 3D Realms, the new 3D Realms. Why would they want to ask for permission to do something? They would rather do it first and then get in trouble for it later, and then try to play damage control, I guess. It would suck if they, just were genuinely into them, and that's why they called it Ion Maiden, and then Iron Maiden turned around and sued them. Like, that would suck. Also, like, I mean, why the fuck does Iron Maiden need that? Do they really need money that badly that they have to hit up this little studio like 3D Realms that is, is probably going to lose? Granted, it's probably easy money for them. Is it going to be enough money to even warrant the cost for legal fees and all that shit to do it? And to, I don't know, just, like, bother. And I don't know that it will, if they even get any money out of it or anything. And essentially, I feel like it's mostly just going to end up being a bad PR stunt for Iron Maiden. It's like, well, you guys are assholes. You're suing these people for which you don't need to. I don't think they're going to make tons of money off of the fact that they're associating. They sound kind of like your band. They're not trying to steal like your music or anything or your imagery or whatever. It was. Maybe they were with the font. Maybe I'd have to look again what the old font was or something. But like. It didn't seem like it was like a huge. It's just like a name, like you get it, like it's like Iron Maiden, but whatever. I don't think that necessarily the two things would have like overlapped enough to really count that, but I guess they did. And apparently 3D Realms is worried enough about it that they changed the name. So there you go, and that's. On the other hand of that is that it's the new 3D Realms, and they've been kind of weird with their PR shit anyways for them doing stuff. Like, claiming how, it's from the people who brought you Duke Nukem 3D and, Blood and the Build Engine and, maybe they didn't say that Blood. Maybe they said it came from the Max Payne. They're basically like using all these buzzwords. They're like, oh yeah, it's like these other games. We've brought you all these games. Like, yes, the 3D Realms logo has been on a lot of this stuff. They've been involved in some capacity with a lot of popular things. That was how fucking long ago for pretty much all of these things. You guys didn't have anything to do with those games or the Build Engine or any of that shit. These new people that have this aren't original 3D Realms members, so it's really kind of shitty that they're doing that. They also don't seem to give a shit about, like, almost all those IPs. They're either letting other people do shit with them or selling them. They did the 3D Realms anthology, and that was about all they gave a shit about anything in there that wasn't Duke Nukem, essentially. And their own original stuff has been what the compromise to salvage the project they were already working on. Those two Duke Nukem games had to be changed to their own original IP, and then they had to do fucking Rad Rogers was like what their other thing. Then like I didn't hear people say shit about that game. I think it got pretty rough reviews. Nobody cared, and that was the one that really I think hilariously said that it was like Conker. Was one of the things that said it's like those other famous games or whatever, and like it likened it to like these platformers, and I think Conker's Bad Fur Day was one of them. And it's like I don't think it's going to be like that if you're comparing it to other stuff like Super Mario 64 and other stuff. Like again, they're just name dropping stuff, so to be like I recognize those things, that'll be good. Whoever does their PR shit is awful, and it makes them look really bad, and that's why I wonder if the naming was maybe up to them to have this happen. I don't know. And what's going to happen from this is essentially. People are going to look at Iron Maiden and be like, you guys are assholes. You don't need to do that. You should be above that. You should be, just like kind of like grateful that people are doing this. So, like, that's a nice little nod. That's kind of like you're part of the culture now. You're in the, people like you. It should be flattering, kind of, right? Like kind of like a compliment. And at the same, it's not stealing any business away from you. Clearly, you're not going to be making. They're not going to be making an album. You're not going to be making a video game. I mean, I think they have like one based on their mascot, like an app thing. I don't know if they actually worked on that. I don't think it's going to interfere with that at all. But fucking... it's just going to make them look bad, and it's going to make people just, look at this game that, only saw this because of the headlines, and now it's going to get more traction because, yeah, they saw that they were, these little companies getting attacked by Iron Maiden. And they were going to look at this when before maybe they wouldn't have had any reason to look at it, and it's just... maybe it's some kind of another, like, genius PR stunt. Like, they were looking at it before because of the whole, Gearbox lawsuit shit, and now they're looking at it because of this. And what do you know? It's going to be launching soon. It's like, I think they said, like, August 15th or something like they're going to be launching in about roughly a month from when I'm recording this. So like this stuff happening is good PR for them, I guess, to get more people looking at it and interested in whatever. It's just going to help them. It's really not going to hurt them unless Iron Maiden actually goes through with some kind of case or whatever and gets a bunch of money from them. That's the only way it's really going to hurt them in the long run of this. And it's mostly just going to hurt Iron Maiden because even if they win, they're still going to look like assholes. Either way, doesn't really matter. So I don't know. It was weird. So it's a really weird thing, and I don't know, man. Even if it works out well for 3D Realms on this one, I can't imagine this is the kind of look this company wants to have. Is that they're constantly just in trouble, and that's what they're known for, is getting into legal battles with people and having problems with that. Because, yeah, that gets your name in the news, that gets you trending, but you know, it's going to make it harder for people to want to do anything with you and want to buy your games and associate with you. And when it seems like you're mostly associated with doing weird, shady things, even if they're, you know, mostly harmless and just there to, you know, get your name out there, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. It's maybe it's a strategy. Maybe it's a marketing strategy that they're doing on purpose and it's all well calculated. But even if it is, I don't like it because it's a weird one and a gross one. And just why don't you just make some good games? Why don't you use the IPs you have and make something cool with those? Or, you know, make a good new IP. Do that. Make a really good new IP and do something there. Don't just grasp at straws and hope that weird marketing tactics are going to get you everywhere, because they're probably not. That's my 2 cents to the people at 3D Realms that aren't going to watch this because they don't. I'm not a huge channel, and what are the odds they're going to randomly look up and be like, I wonder what this asshole has to say today about our whole legal thing and whatever. You know, I don't think even if they did, would they care? Would they care about my opinion? No. No one. I barely do, and it's my opinion. So no. So I'm in the clear. What I'm saying is basically 3D Realms and Iron Maiden. I would like for both of you to not sue me. Is what I'm getting at. So what's the deal with Iron Maiden? It's like Ion Fury with the ground. I think one of the people from id formed Ion Storm afterwards too. Maybe it's like the Ion part is you know, relation to that, but I don't know. I could be remembering that wrong. Just you might still get sued. Is what I'm saying. You might still get sued. Might still get sued. Good news. You'll be in the news if you get sued again. Until then. What's the deal with Sam? What's the deal with Sam? What's the deal with Sam?